Well, hello, my studio teacher friends. Welcome to the Beyond Measure podcast with me, Christina Whitlock. This is a space where all are welcome, and I hope you find encouragement in today's conversation. Yes, I said conversation. This summer, I am giving you the opportunity to eavesdrop on some terrific discussions as I revisit a chosen topic from a previous episode with an all-star teacher friend. That's a change up from the 170 solo episodes I've recorded all by myself, and I have been having so much fun sharing the microphone with such wise thought partners in this series. So, buckle up for today's conversation. And when you find yourself wishing that you could listen to more of this chat, know that you can. Each interview in this series has a bonus conversation featured in the Patreon community. Joining the Patreon at any paid level will score you access to this bonus material. Plus, of course, you will know that you are doing your part to help keep this show on the airwaves. Isn't it great to be part of a community that you love? I sure think so. Anyway, head to christinawhitlock.com/Patreon for all the information. Let's get on with the show, friends. You are listening to the Summertime Conversation Series here on the Beyond Measure podcast. Oh, you're in for a treat today, my friends. I knew that I wanted to take a look back at episode number 33 this summer. That was Cheers to Crazy Talk, because I have a real soft spot in my heart for teachers who hold space for the possibility of what if. To me, the idea of crazy talk is simply the process of dreaming without boundaries. As in, what would you do if you had no restrictions, no limitations? Where would you go? Could you dream up a new reality for yourself? Today, I am talking to the wonderful Melissa Slocum, who I consider to be a poster child for taking your crazy talk and putting it into action. I'll let her explain, of course, but first, know this. Melissa Slocum is a piano teacher, podcaster, and so much more. Her podcast, called Sounds of Encouragement, is on a parallel mission to my show in that it is all about supporting music teachers so you can go out and support your studio communities. I know you're going to love this conversation, and when you find yourself wanting to know more about Melissa, you can head to musicgrow.com, which is musicgro.com. All right, friends, let's do this. Melissa Slocum, thank you so much for being here with us on Beyond Measure today. I am so looking forward to this conversation because I think it offers a real insight that a lot of teachers do not necessarily consider.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me. It's a pleasure.
So, Amy Chaplin and I had discussed in an earlier episode this summer of just trying to deal with the overwhelm of possibility in our profession, because that's legitimately a struggle, I think. And I don't think that there is a source of overwhelm more apparent than what to do with your summer offerings. So I know I work with a lot of teachers on a consult basis, and I feel like this year, especially, I was slammed with clients who just wanted me to help them work out their summer offerings. There's just so many options. So you have actually come up with kind of an off the beaten path solution. So can you give us an overview of what summer looks like for Melissa Slocum and how long you've been doing this and all the things?
Yeah, I run away for the summer is the best way to describe it. I didn't start off wanting to do that. I used to do summer teaching and summer camps and do all the summer things. And in my area, North Suburban Atlanta, most of my clients were traveling during the summer because that was their longest break from school. So my clients being international, they would go to South Korea, South Africa, India, Pakistan, the Philippines, Malaysia. I mean, they were all over the world. And they weren't going to stick around just for piano lessons. And I wasn't ever going to try to force that because that's just sort of like, if that's your one chance to go home and be with family, I'm not taking that away from anybody. I realized that summer lessons were not necessarily profitable in my studio. And because I had a large studio, I didn't want to onboard new students because I was already teaching 40 to 50 students, and I wasn't going to take on new students in the summer who would want places in the fall, and then that gets out of control. So I was already starting to think about what can I do differently, and do I just give up on summer, and what do I do? Well, that year, unfortunately, my father had battled lung cancer and he passed away that fall.
Oh.
And we went through all the things as a family transitioning after that. And my parents had retired to a place called Door County, Wisconsin. And so I was very familiar. I've been coming up here to this area since well, I'm not going to say how old I am, but for a very long time. And so we brought my mom back up here that summer after my dad passed to their home and helped her just kind of see everything again. She didn't feel comfortable living in her home by herself anymore. It was too big. So she had already made the choice to do assisted living near me. So we just kind of spent not even a month. It was like 3.5 weeks, something like that. My kids and my mom up in her home, and we had the most glorious time that summer just for a few weeks. But every place we went, we had business owners asking, how old are your kids? Are they old enough to work? And then other people would ask me, hey, are you staying for the summer? Would you like a job? And we just were constantly bombarded with these questions of, hey, can you work? Hey, would you like a job? Hey, can you pull a shift? And it was business owner friends we knew. It was people we didn't know. It was just friends of friends. And there was a huge, huge labor shortage. And so that was the summer of 2017.
Okay.
And after that, we kind of left and we scratched our heads and went, what if? What if we did that for the summer? What if we packed up and spent the summer in this tourist area and got jobs and spent time, let mom come back to her home and be with her friends and do her thing? And what if? So then the
Wow.
following summer, we made that happen. And we've been doing that now for 7 years, and it's just been amazing. So it's a very different way of living. I still work during the summer, but it's like a retail job for a little jewelry boutique or a clothing boutique or some other kind of resale shop. Or this summer, I'm working for a tech company doing business development. A lot of times I get phone calls during the year of a friend saying, hey, this person is opening up a new location, or this person is opening a new business. Can you come help them out? So I've sort of gained that reputation of being the one who can help with a new store opening or a new location opening or business development or business coaching with different clients I have up here. And it's just been a wonderful experience. My mom is home. She's happy. My
Wow.
kids have been able to get job experience and work up here. They learned to drive up here when they were that age. There's all sorts of opportunities for us to connect with nature and with all different kinds of arts and artists up here. And so it's really been a win-win. It's a creative outlet for me, even though I'm not teaching. So that's kind of what it looks like. And my
Wow.
husband stays home and takes care of the house and the dogs. And sometimes he'll come up and spend a week, sometimes not. But we just kind of all figure it out and make it work. And I still get income. It's definitely not as much as what I make during the school year, but it's enough. And the fact that we're getting invaluable time together as a family making memories is really a treasure.
Wow.
Yeah.
I knew so much of that, but I also didn't know some of the pieces of that puzzle. So, how beautiful that you're able to take your mom back up to her old stomping grounds and give her that time. I have a few friends who have found ways to summer away with their families, not always teachers. But I think just what a wonderful set of memories that you're building for your family. And it's kind of just what you do in the summer now, right? It's just the thing.
Yeah. And I still offer online lessons for those who want to teach. I have a little summer studio set up and I can teach online. I was doing that before the pandemic anyway, so that was nothing new. And so there are some students who will do music theory during the summer, or I have some students who take year round. So I do teach
Yeah.
some during the summer, but it's really not as much. And it's just such a great break for me away from it.
Yeah. How does that help you, do you think? Because I'm a huge proponent of taking time away, even when you don't feel like you need time away, because I know I can feel it after I take a break and I come back to teaching. Like I'm so much more energized and full of ideas. So, do you feel that way as well?
Absolutely. It's such a complete break for me because I'm in a completely different environment. I have different work that's also creative, but completely different every summer.
Hmm.
And it's just such a different way of using my brain and using my body and just working and being available to people who honestly are such incredible artists and such incredible creatives
Hmm.
that I am not only taking a break from my own teaching and my own work and immersing myself in other creative work, but then I'm in an artist colony.
Yeah.
I'm going to a concert tomorrow night for one of our friends. Katie Doll is performing. There are so many different theater companies up in this area. So I go to great plays. Birch Creek Music is a music camp for high school and college students. And so I go to
Wow.
Birch Creek like twice a month and hear great music. There's poetry readings, there's glass blowers, sculptors, painters, incredible chefs. Any type of art that you're looking for is here. Sometimes on a day off, I'll just go to an art gallery and wander and just absorb and soak it in. So not only am I doing something different, but I'm also immersed in a community that values art and that loves art of all different kinds. And I get to go see my artist friends. I have another friend up here who's a textile artist. He's been on the podcast,
Mm.
and he and I can sit and talk for hours. There's not only a complete break, but then feeding my own soul with all
Hmm.
the different types of incredible work that local artists are doing. And not
Hmm.
only do I go back refreshed and excited to see my students, but I go back with just a full feeling. Like I know I have enjoyed so much great music, so many great plays, so much beautiful art that it's just a wonderful diversion, a wonderful way to spend that time so that when I do go back, I'm ready to go. I've had the break and I'm just full of creative ideas and I'm inspired.
Well, I think you've sold us all. Like we're all heading to Door County next summer.
Come on up, come on up.
Can we just like rent an Airbnb and just,
Yeah,
immerse ourselves in the arts?
yeah,
No, there's something so important about what you're talking about because as teachers, sometimes we lose touch with that artistic nature
yep,
of ourselves and that creative, like capital C creative identity that we have.
yeah,
And that's such a misstep for us with our students because we need to fuel our creative selves first so that
absolutely.
then we can help others do the same. I think it's so insightful of you that you've picked that up, that in not teaching, it frees you up to be able to go out and do all of these fulfilling things.
Yeah.
So, how fantastic. I was thinking years ago at the MTNA Leadership Summit, I shared a room with a teacher colleague. Her name's Dorothy Travis. Hey, Dorothy, if you're listening. And Dorothy had told me this fantastic story about when her kids were young. One of them really wanted to go to like a circus camp and they couldn't afford it. But then the next year, that same camp also had a musical theater program and they pulled her in to start playing and they waived the kids' tuition as part of her package
Mm,
and all of this. And so this began this multi-year streak where the whole family would go to this circus
yeah,
camp and
yeah,
do all of these fantastic enrichment activities and
yeah,
just spend time together completely off the beaten path of life. And I just loved that. It's always something
yeah,
on my radar that I'm thinking, how can we just completely uproot ourselves and go do something. And you are doing it. So,
The universe pokes you, you know,
mm,
and when the time is right, whatever you're meant to do or whatever you're meant to be a part of, you'll figure out a way to do it. But the universe will definitely give you those signs and signals and show you how you can do it. I never thought that I could do this. It was a dream, but I never thought I could actually make it happen. Were there extenuating circumstances? Sure. But never say never because anything really is possible.
that's really beautiful. So sometimes in this work, you mentioned that you pick up a different kind of job almost every summer. I know last summer you were working more in hospitality
Mm-hmm.
and you came back like full of observations of human
Yes.
behavior. I think you and I both share this love for like just really studying why people do the things they do and how they're behaving. So to tell us, like, is that insightful for you as you run your studio? Like, do you spend your time kind of observing human behavior up there?
I do, because this is such a tourist area and, you know, from the end of April to end of October, the county is just full of people and I'm only here for 10 weeks, but I really watch to see the behaviors that people are exhibiting as they're being tourists. And I
Mm-hmm.
also watch and see what different businesses are doing and how they're
Mm.
responding or what policies they have or how different businesses operate. And it's really, really fascinating up here because almost every single business owner up here is an entrepreneur. They get to set their own rules. There are really no chains. Like there's not even a fast food chain up here. So yeah,
Really?
like you
Wow.
have to go to the city for a fast food. Everything else is just all boutique and it's all, there's no real chains. So it's really fascinating to see how different entrepreneurs operate. And I remember in 2021, post-pandemic, when everything was open again, the entitlement behavior amongst tourists was unreal. It was really disheartening to see, and it was really difficult to deal with. 2020 was difficult as well, but 2021 was where I really saw the entitlement just blatantly come across all industries. And I would talk to my friends who are restaurateurs. I would talk to my friends who are in retail. I would talk to my friends who own hotels and resorts. And they were all saying the same thing in 2021. It was like everybody had permission suddenly to behave badly
Mm-hmm.
and and to expect that that would be okay and to expect that they would just be catered to no matter what.
That's really fascinating. It's like in the heart of the pandemic, there was still sort of a mystery to the whole thing. And I always feel like the whole thing was one big experiment in who cares about community and the betterment of a global community and who is really just looking out for themselves. And it's kind of like once the whole thing started to dissipate, then those polarizing feelings and those it's all about me attitudes
Yeah,
really kind of took some steam because they felt like something had been taken away from them the
yeah,
previous year, right? Isn't that
yeah.
interesting?
It
Mm.
is. And, you know, I haven't noticed any trends this year yet, but every year I usually spot some things that I walk away with and I go, okay, now how can I deal with that in my own studio if I see that with my own clients? Or
Yeah.
is there a particular policy that a business owner put into play that I think is really creative and really functional that could also work for me? So I'm always looking for things. In general, I think when you look at the hospitality industry, especially hotels and resorts and restaurants, that's where you see kind of the best and worst human
Sure.
behavior. And so when we start looking at those behaviors and go, okay, then I think we get a really good sense of the pulse of
Mm.
what people are thinking and feeling. And then we can take that back and say, okay, if this is what's happening out in the world, how do I need to adjust as a business owner myself? And do I need to adjust? Is there anything I want to change? So it'll be interesting to see this summer if I spot anything.
Yeah, well, I'll be listening for updates. So, what do you find to be the most challenging about this arrangement of yours? Because right now it's sounding pretty utopian.
It is, you know, because I do work full time while I'm up here. And so there's too many concerts, too many plays, too many friends, too many great places to eat, too many hiking trails, too many beaches, too many galleries.
All right,
That's my
I'm jumping in the car, Melissa. I'm putting on
Yeah.
my shoes. I'm heading on up there right now.
And I know some people would not be able to do this because they wouldn't want to be away from their spouse, or they wouldn't want to be away from their house, or they wouldn't want to be away from their people. And I get that. My husband and I have always both traveled for work. And so we've never really felt like we had to be attached to the hip 24/7.
Mhm.
So we've always figured out a way to make it work. And the same with my kids. If there's a summer where one of my kids can't come up, we make it work and we just stay in touch other ways. And we also realize like it's 10 weeks. That's all it is.
Yeah, but what memories you make in 10 weeks, it goes both
Yeah,
ways. So that's really
exactly.
incredible.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, I could talk to you all day,
I
but I
know.
don't
I
want to
know.
hog you to myself. So tell everybody where we can find you online and follow all the cool things that you're doing.
Sure. The best place is on socials. You can find me by my name, Melissa Slocum, on socials, or you can go to musicgrow.com. It's musicgro.com. And that houses everything that I do. So whether it's piano lessons or business coaching or the podcast Sounds of Encouragement or anything else that's happening, it's all up on the website. There are several socials. Not all of them are real active all the time, but you'll find everything. I don't worry about trying to advertise or publicize every single thing because it's a lot.
Yeah, I was just going to say, can you give us like the elevator pitch for Music Grow and all of the things that you do there?
I grow and support creatives so their craft can more profoundly impact the world. And everything I
That's
do comes from encouragement.
Yeah. I should tell our listeners that, of course, you have your own podcast, The Sounds
Yeah.
of Encouragement. And you and I launched somewhere around the same ish time, I think within the
Hmm.
same year of each other. And when
Yeah.
I first heard your podcast, I was like, oh my gosh, we're on the same mission.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
all, your tagline is what
I'm here for you so you can be there for those who need you the most.
that's it. And I was
Yep.
like, by golly,
Yeah.
we're doing the same work. And I
We are.
appreciate you
We
so
are.
much. It was only natural to have you on the show today. So here's my cheesy question to wrap us out today. We're on Beyond Measure here. So
That's
tell
right.
me something, no serious answers allowed, something that you love beyond measure, Melissa.
Well, now that I'm back up in Wisconsin, I love fried cheese curds
Oh, yeah.
and I love my brandy old fashioned.
You are living the life.
On a serious note, the other thing that I really do love, so this might give hope for people who are in the trenches with kids and small ones. I love watching my young adult children. And living with my daughter this summer in her apartment is a trip. And I love it. I love everything about watching my young adults.
Yeah, that is encouraging. I say that. My oldest is 13. She'll be turning 14 this summer. And I think you're taught to like dread the teenage years so much. And there is a lot that goes down, I know.
Hmm.
But it is
Yep.
so fascinating to watch your offspring grow into these incredible human beings, right? And they have their own ideas
Yeah.
and their own
Yeah.
approaches to the world. Who knew?
And seeing them after they move out is even better.
Mm, yeah, I bet. I bet. I can see that. Well, maybe you need to grab your old fashioned there. And would you mind closing us out with a quick Melissa Slocum toast to the profession?
Sure. I had to write this down so I could remember
Hey.
exactly. So, cheers to summer fun and memories.
Mm.
May we be intentional about our rest and our play and making great memories.
Oh, here to that. That was
Cheers.
beautiful, Melissa. Oh,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Thank you for offering such a breath of fresh air and new perspective. I always encourage that idea of crazy talk, like just sitting down and thinking, what would life look like if we
Yeah,
did fill in the blank? And as you said, you just never know when the reality can hit. So thank you for
exactly.
giving us all insight and hope into new ways of living these summers.
You are so welcome. Thank you, Christina.
That's a wrap on this episode, friends. But remember, there is more where that came from. head to christinawhitlock.com/Patreon to learn more about how you can get access to all kinds of bonus goodies for just a few dollars this summer. I am convinced the Patreon community is pretty much the most affordable professional development on the internet. Pay special attention to the new offering called What Should I Teach Next? Because it's really good, if I do say so myself. One more favor to ask of you today. If you love this show, will you please take a moment and share it with other teacher friends? I know there are more teachers out there who need an anytime piano teacher friend in their lives, and I am ready and willing to do the job. Thanks in advance, my friends. That'll do it for today. Onward and upward toward making the world a more musical place.